In another video, I went over the basic hand tools that I use all day, every day. In this video, we're going to dig down a little deeper and go over the oddball tools that you need to do special jobs. And I'll give you a little insight into why we need these various tools. This is a battery filler syringe. You can use a turkey baster if you want. This is used frequently for flushing drains on refrigerators. Here's a condenser cleaning brush. It's available at any appliance parts place. It's just a long, skinny brush for cleaning condensers on refrigerators. These two guys are, this is a radiator hose clamping pliers, which is very helpful on washing machines and dishwashers when you don't want to bother emptying the appliance and you need to work on the pump. And here we have copper tubing cutters, which you need for repairing ice maker 1/4-inch copper lines. And if you decide to install dishwashers, you also need that tool. This is a backup vice grips for where you've just in a tight bind and you need something with a lot of force. Doesn't get used very often. Now, this little guy is a 1/4-inch ratchet. It's sitting here with the 1/4-inch socket on it. And here's a 3/16 and a 5. And here we've got the 7, the half, and the 9/16 sockets. You can get by pretty much any job. One of my favorite mechanics only used the 1/4-inch drive ratchet on all his appliance work. I use both. This is the 3/8 drive with a short extension. Use a 7/16 for agitators on Kenmore washers, a half for the transmission on Kenmore washers. And here's a 9/16, which very rarely gets used. Here's a long extension that's helpful on the Kenmore agitator. Kenmore has a basket locking nut. It's called a spanner nut. And this is a special tool and hammer that makes it very quick and easy to knock that nut loose. You can do it with a cold chisel if you choose. And on other brands, I just use a cold chisel. It just so happens that the Kenmore tool gets used often enough, maybe a couple times a year, that it's just a smoother operation to use this one. Now you might have noticed that when I showed you the socket sets, I didn't include the 3/8 socket like this. And on the nut drivers, I didn't include the 3/8 either. Well, the reason is they're not used very often, but they would come in the special category. The 3/8 driver, nut driver here, is handy when installing or removing the tailpipe on a disposer. That happens to be a 3/8 bolt. The socket is used, as far as I can recall, only for the bolts that hold the pump down on the Maytag Performa design. So, occasionally you might need these. I'd say have them handy. They're probably going to come in the sets you buy anyway. Most guys that just start into the mechanical trades wind up dinging themselves. So I'd recommend that in your truck you have a first aid kit so that you don't have to ask the homeowner for Band-Aids when you need it. I personally only seem to cut myself at home in the kitchen. I haven't really hurt myself on the job for years. But new guys do until they really get used to it. So you do need some Band-Aids. I carry a first aid kit in the truck, and it's probably everything in it's outdated, but it's a good thing to have. These are two nut drivers, a 5 32nd and a 7/32nd. They're definitely half-size oddballs, but once in a while on a timer job and on a gas valve job, you'll find it helpful to have these two half sizes. This is another rarely used but helpful to have, is just a standard Allen wrench or hex key set. And here is a pop rivet tool which is only needed on a Maytag dryer front bearing. Very specialized. You may need a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch drill bit and a drill motor to drill out the rivets. So you see, this is my own little private joke. This is totally overkill, unnecessary, ridiculous. Appliance guys just don't have this kind of stuff. You only need little simple things that I've shown you in these two videos.